This is the greatest mystery of the 21st century. Mainstream media keeps telling us the Chinese Communist Party led China to an economic miracle. But is that really true? Let's uncover the truth behind China's economic rise. Welcome back to Final War with Katherine Hu. Today, we're going to tackle a question that has confused so many people across the world. And frankly, I didn't see it clearly for many years myself. That question is, has communism, specifically the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, truly brought prosperity to China? Has it led the country to become the world's second largest economy and improved people's lives? Has the CCP really made life better for Chinese citizens? This is a huge question, one that could fill an entire book. But since people often say communism brought about China's economic miracle, let's start by digging into the truth behind China's economic story, using Taiwan and Hong Kong as comparative benchmarks. China has a 5,000-year-long civilization, so before the CCP came to power in 1949, was life really so bad for the Chinese people? A quick look into history reveals something shocking. China's share of global GDP throughout different dynasties was truly astonishing. Tang Dynasty, 64%. Northern Song, 39%. Yuan Dynasty, 30%. Ming Dynasty, 44%. Qing Dynasty Qianlong era, 51%. Late Qing to Early Republic era, 27%. 1922 after years of warlord chaos, 12%. War-torn period, 5.7%. In 2001, after 50-plus years of CCP rule, less than 4% of global GDP. Then, in 2001, China joined the WTO, kicking off over 30 years of rapid development. By 2024, China's GDP reached about 18.3 trillion, roughly 16.9% of global GDP. But let's pause here. Before China opened up to Western technology and investment in 2001, its share of global GDP under the CCP was the lowest in its entire history. Less than 1/15 of the Tang Dynasty's peak, just a tenth of the Northern Song Dynasty. During the Northern Song Dynasty, China's per capita GDP was around $2,300 in modern terms, ranked number 1 globally. Under the CCP, 1952, 3 years after taking power, $54. 1959, 10 years after taking power, $83. 1969, 20 years after taking power, $100. 1979, just before reform and opening up, $272. 2001, before WTO entry, barely passed $1,000. So what really fueled China's economic growth? The answer is simple: capitalism. From 1949 to 1976, during the era of hardline communism and socialism, China's per capita GDP grew at just 2.9% annually. But from 1978 to 1999, as the CCP shifted, almost desperately, toward a capitalism economy, the annual growth rate jumped to 7.8%. This doesn't suggest that capitalism is better than socialism. It screams it. During communism's height in China, people lived through the harshest years in 5,000 years of history. Growth was slow. Suffering was rampant. Even today, some little pink CCP supporters argue, Doesn't this show the CCP learned from its mistakes and still achieved an economic miracle? Well, let's let the numbers speak. Let's compare mainland China with Taiwan and Hong Kong. In 1949, mainland China, per capita GDP $50 to $100. Taiwan, around $100 to $150, just slightly higher than the mainland. Hong Kong, as a British colony, already a trade and finance hub with GDP $300 to $500. By 2024, mainland China $13,310, Taiwan $33,983, Hong Kong $44,000 to $45,000. Taiwan implemented land reforms, received US aid, and embraced capitalism. Hong Kong, already capitalist by 1949, grew rapidly as a global financial hub. Though growth slowed after the 1997 handover, its GDP still far exceeds the mainland's. Hong Kong's share of China's total GDP dropped from 18.4% in 1997 to just 2.1% in 2023. After 1997, Hong Kong's income inequality worsened, housing prices soared, and social tensions rose sharply. These numbers speak volumes. They raise a fundamental question. Has it been capitalism and democratization in places like Taiwan and Hong Kong that truly fueled economic progress? Or has the centralized authoritarian system under the Chinese Communist Party done a better job? Now ask yourself, if China hadn't been ruled by communism for the past 70+ years, how much more advanced could its economy be today? Would the Chinese mainland be 2 or even 3 times more prosperous than it is now? It's a question worth serious reflection. So after all those numbers, let's ask the big question. How is the quality of life for the people living in China today? Freedom. According to Freedom House 2025, mainland China score 9 out of 100, not free. Political rights, 1 out of 40, civil liberties, 8 out of 60, press freedom, ranked 178 out of 180 countries. Taiwan, score 94 out of 100 free, political rights, 38 out of 40, civil liberties, 56 out of 60, press freedom, ranked 24th globally, only Japan ranks higher in Asia. Hong Kong, score 40 out of 100, partly free, political rights, 9 out of 40, civil liberties, 31 out of 60. In 2013, the score was 70 out of 100. Press freedom fell from number 18, 2002 to number 140 in 2025. Since the 2020 National Security Law, Hong Kong saw major crackdowns. Free speech, peaceful assembly, and independent media like Apple Daily have been suppressed. Even academic freedom is under threat. When it comes to the quality of life for people in mainland China, one number says it all. According to 2023 data from the World Bank and OECD, the Chinese Communist government allocates just 10.1% of its GDP to basic public services. That includes education, healthcare, and social welfare. This puts China well below average, ranking somewhere between 100th and 120th globally, far short of the global average of 16.41% across 155 countries. So here's the bottom line. Can a government that invests so little in its people really be expected to make them wealthy? Or does it simply prove that the CCP's priorities have never truly been about the well-being of its citizens? One more shocking figure. Only 20% of the money in China's bank accounts belongs to ordinary citizens. The remaining 80% belongs to elites and those with power. Yes, China's economy grew, but how much of that wealth trickled down? the average person's pocket remains nearly empty. That's the question we have to ask, because behind all the numbers and GDP growth headlines lies a staggering price tag, one paid in environmental destruction, public health, and long-term sustainability. Let's take a closer look. According to previous public data, 1/5 of China's farmland is severely contaminated with heavy metals. 70% of urban river sections are heavily polluted. Drinking water safety has become a national crisis. The World Bank once reported that 6 of the 10 most polluted cities in the world are in China. Desertification is spreading at a rate of over 2,600 square kilometers per year, moving eastward. Soil erosion and water loss now affect 38% of China's territory. In 18 provinces and regions, across 471 counties, the homes and farmland of nearly 400 million people are under threat from desertification. These figures are years old. The reality today is likely even worse, though true data is increasingly difficult to access. Because when environmental truth threatens political power, truth itself becomes the first casualty. All of this is simple math, but it points to a very clear answer. The so-called Chinese miracle is a distorted kind of prosperity, built on the back of low human rights standards, resource depletion, environmental destruction, moral decay, and extreme wealth inequality. In truth, the CCP's version of prosperity sacrifices the interests of the vast majority, the future of the Chinese nation, and the well-being of future generations. That's not a miracle. That's a tragedy in disguise. Get the real story behind the CCP's shifting power games and see where US-China relations are headed next. Support the vision of a new China without communism. Subscribe now and join us in bringing the truth to light.